second debate.
Right. Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. One second. Okay. So, guys, let's begin with topic two. So, topic two, men make better leaders than women. We have our proposition team, which is Titans. We have Kid Flash, Robin, Kid Flash, Brother of Dragon, sorry, Robin, the Night Shadow, Batman, the Dark Knight, Raven, the Arcane Empress, and Cyborg, Man of Steel. And our opposition team, which is the Amazonians, we have the Archeress, the Warrior, the Huntress, the Crafter, and the Healer. So we will now proceed with the first main speech in favor of the motion presented by Cyborg. The floor is now yours. Please proceed.
All right. Good afternoon. Protocol has been established. So we are Team Titan, and our members include Batman, the Dark Knight, Raven, the Anchoress Empress, Kid Flash, the Brother of Dragons, Robin, the Knight of Shadow, and myself, Cyborg, Man of Steel. So we stand before you to affirm the motion, men make better leaders than women. Now let's make this clear from the outset. Now, this debate is not about questioning the value or abilities of women. It's about examining patterns, traits, and historical events that points to men being more effective leaders on balance, especially in high pressure and demanding environments. Leadership in its strongest form isn't just about empathy or collaboration. Those are valuable qualities, but true leadership is about making those tough decisions, taking risks, staying composed under pressure, and commanding authority. And throughout history, and even today, men consistently embody these qualities more frequently. Now let's consider the history. The world's most iconic leaders, figures like Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Winston Churchill, Nelson Mandela, Abraham Lincoln were men. These were not leaders known for emotional comfort. They were known for bold moves, for steering nations through war, crisis, and transformation. That kind of leadership isn't about seeking consensus, it's about taking command. Moving to the present, statistics speaks volume. Less than 10% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. Is this purely due to discrimination? Not entirely. These roles demand 24/7 responsibility, constant high stakes decisions, and resilience under pressure. Traits that men, both socially and biologically, are often more conditioned to handle. Biologically, now men generally score higher on traits like assertiveness, risk tolerance, and emotional detachment, all essential for leading under stress. Testosterone, which is more prominent in men, is linked to competitiveness and strategic aggression. Qualities that are often give male leaders edge, especially in high pressure fields like politics, finance, or military. Now, speaking of the military, the ultimate test of leadership strength, most top general and commanders are men. This isn't just tradition, it because military leadership demands quick thinking, authority, and emotional control in life or death situation. These are traits more commonly exhibited by men, making them more suited for such intense leadership role. Even in goal crises, whether pandemic, wars, or natural disaster, male leaders have often been quicker to act, more decisive, and more willing to take bold risks. While female leaders might favor collaboration, strong leadership is emergency demands speed, conviction, and resolve qualities we are more often to see in male-led response. Now let us be clear. We are not saying that women cannot lead. Many have proven they can, but this debate is about who tends to be stronger in leadership roles and the strength in leadership, measured by dominance, resilience, decisiveness, which has shown historically and consistently in men traits across culture and context. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. We will now pause for an intermission of 2 minutes.
Uh, Madam Speaker, I just letting you know that I have some background noise. My neighbor decided to play his instrument now, so you could please.
The Huntress, correct?
Yes, yes, that's correct.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Speaker, will the honourable member entertain a question?
One second. Yes.
For the purpose of informing the House, we ask the government, does the government stand by their assertion that men primarily employ transactional dominance-based leadership?
This is the Archeress, right?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Okay, proposition team. Would you all like her to repeat?
Yes, please.
Okay, can you please
Again?
repeat?
Sure, Madam Speaker. Again, for the House knowledge, does the government stand by their assertion that men primarily employ transactional dominance-based leadership?
Repeat the last part of the question.
Madam Speaker, may I?
Yes, the Archeress, you may.
Once again, does the government stand by their assertion that men primarily employ transactional dominance-based leadership?
Yes, we do. The reason being that as on a scale of most leadership positions, transactional leadership would be better for in case of companies and larger operations. As well as men also involve transformational leadership.
Madam Speaker, may I comment on their response, if allowed?
Sorry, proposition team, will you all entertain?
I have only but a comment, not a question.
Yes.
Yes, you may proceed.
Okay, my comment from the Amazonians. We would just like the House, including Madam Speaker, to note the government's response to our question, and please keep it in mind. Thank you.
Yes, noted. Thank you. Okay, everyone. Sorry if you're hearing background noise from me. Okay, so we will now proceed with the first main speech in favor, for the first main speech against the motion presented by the Huntress. So you have 5 minutes. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Many people say it's a man's world, but in the 21st century, does this still apply? In this day and age, there still isn't one single, universally fixed definition of a leader. However, many researchers do agree that a leader must possess the ability to influence others. In the leadership experience, Daff cites Joseph Ross' definition of leadership as an influential relationship among leaders and followers who intend real changes and outcomes that reflect their shared purposes. Historically, it was believed that men made better leaders than women due to their strength, power, control, and social norms. I am here to say that I firmly disagree with this. Madam Speaker, mediators, fellow debaters, and ladies and gentlemen of the audience, good evening. I am the Huntress, and I am here because we, the Amazonians, firmly believe that men do not make better leaders than women. Women make better leaders than men because they create gender diversity, possess transformational leadership styles, excel in education and workforce participation, and possess key leadership traits. Female leaders often promote gender diversity because they understand the challenges women face in the workplace. They are more likely to recommend more inclusive policies and representation. Their leadership brings diverse perspectives to the table, which enhances decision making by fostering more creative, well rounded, and balanced solutions. By valuing different viewpoints, female leaders help create environments where diverse teams can thrive and make more informed decisions. Studies have shown that companies with more women in leadership roles perform better financially and make more ethical decisions. This proves that when women lead, they don't just lead well, they lead in a way that uplifts others and strengthens the entire organization. Women are often transformational leaders. Transformational leadership focuses on inspiring teams, fostering growth, and driving positive change, traits many women naturally exhibit. Female leaders often lead with empathy, collaboration, and vision, building trust and encouraging innovation. Unlike transactional leadership, this approach empowers others, making women especially impactful in inspiring leaders. Women are leading the way in education and the workforce. They often do better than men in school and are moving up in all kinds of industries. Right now, women make up 50% of college students, half of law and medical students, and over 40% of MBA grads. Their strong education helps them think critically and lead well. Plus, since many have had to push past barriers, they lead with determination and empathy, making them relatable, strong, and effective leaders. Women in leadership often excel through empathy, adaptability, strong communication, and emotional intelligence. These are key leadership traits. Their collaborative style fosters inclusivity, motivates teams, and resolves conflict with compassion. These strengths help build cohesive, innovative, and high performing teams, showing that their leadership is not just different, but often more effective than that of men. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, we, the Amazonians, believe that women make better leaders than men due to their ability to create gender diversity, possess transformational leadership styles, excel in education and workforce participation, and possess key leadership traits. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Member. We will now pause for an intermission of 2 minutes. Yes, someone's hand was raised.
Madam Speaker and fellow members of the opposition, I would like to interject. You claim that leaders, or women specifically, make better leaders because of their empathy and compassion. But however, can you still say that is the case after the
Second,
Hungarian presidents
I will just need to
of
interrupt one
Hitler and
second.
Novak?
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes. I need to ask if if the party would be willing to entertain the question.
Oh, sorry. Is the
No
party
problem.
willing to entertain?
Yes,
Opposition
Madam
team.
Speaker.
Okay, you
Apologies.
can.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Yes, you can go ahead.
As I was saying, you say that women make better leaders because of their empathy and compassion. However, can you still say that after the case of the Hungarian president, Hitler Novak, which pardoned a man or a person who covered up a case of sexual abuse in a children's home? This compassion was due to him not being directly involved. However, he was still guilty because he knew what was happening and he said nothing about it. I would like to draw the attention to if that one of our family members was into that home and he was suffering that summons, will you still be able to say that compassion was valid?
Excuse, was that question for your opposing team?
Yes, it was directed at the opposing team.
Opposing team, did you hear you heard his question, right?
Madam Speaker, if I may.
Pardon?
If I may, can I speak?
Yes, you may.
Kid Flash, I think it was. We are a bit unsure of the question. Can you repeat the question itself?
Absolutely, no problem. So I'm going to start from the beginning because there's a lot of information, and that's all right. Madam Speaker.
Yes, you may.
Understood. So again, the opposition claims that because of a woman's empathy and compassion, that they make better leaders. However, can the opposition still say that is the case in the case of Hungarian presidents or former Hungarian presidents, no, Hitler Novak, who pardoned a man because he stayed silent about sexual misconduct in a children's home. The reasoning was that the man was not guilty because he did not directly do the act. However, he knew and said nothing of it. That is why he was pardoned. My question to you is, can you justify this compassion and empathy in this case, even knowing that one of those children could have been related to you, or that was someone's daughter or somebody's family? Is that compassion still important? Is it still relevant here?
Amazonians, you all have the floor when you're already.
Yes, Madam Speaker, if we could just have a few seconds again.
Okay, sure. So I'd just like to put a notice that we all have 1 minute and 30 seconds to respond, right?
We are having, Madam Speaker, sorry, we are having a bit of issue with forming our response because we would like to re-question the government. Was there evidence to prove his guilt?
There was evidence stated by the BBC News, as well as formal investigations launched and proven on the website of the Hungarian government's website.
Okay, everyone. So we will now hear the first rebuttal for the motion by Raven. The floor is yours. You have 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, esteemed judges, and heroic opponents, good afternoon. Today I've come to defend a motion as clear as Titan's tower at dawn. Men make better leaders than women. It's controversial, I know, but so is letting a shape-shifting green dude, a tech genius with built-in cannon and one laser I-beam eye, and a literal half-demon run unsupervised. And yet, it works. And it works because Robin leads. Robin keeps the Titans alive. And he is their leader not because he is the flashiest or has superpowers, but because he has these intrinsic traits built into him. He is calculated, consistent, and commanding. And that's the kind of leadership that holds the line. Now that I've told you about us, the Titans, let me tell you about the real world. According to evolutionary psychology, leadership boils down to one principle, and that principle is survival. From electing a president who forcefully renegotiates their country's debt, aka Trump, or to a CEO of a Fortune 500 company tasked with turning over quarterly profits to shareholders, leadership is a high stakes game of endurance, calculated risk, and decisiveness. These survival driven attributes are referred to as agentic traits, and these agentic traits have been historically and psychologically associated with men. As of this year, January 2025, women serve as heads of government in only 16 out of 193 United Nations member states, which means approximately 92% of countries are led by men. This is not due to women's capabilities, though, but rather society's condition to instinctively gravitate towards people that have the ability to allow them to survive. And throughout history, those traits, the agentic traits, have been embodied by men. As Mr. Man of Steel pointed out in the introduction, Winston Churchill, his leadership was defiant, strategic, and it encompassed unwavering resolve. And this is the history, and this is what history celebrates. Now, this carries me to my next point. If the standard for leadership is built around high pressure, decisiveness, public scrutiny, and women can also provide these traits, why are women penalized for it? And why are women in these high positions often struggling with love and a work life balance as opposed to men? May I suggest that it isn't unfairness or injustice? It's about incompatibility. And if we're looking at the root of the design itself, we should look no further than the Bible. Let me take you to Genesis. In the book of Genesis, God created Adam, and he gave him a distinct purpose. That purpose was to lead, steward the earth, name the animals, and guard the garden. Adam was entrusted with the responsibility before Eve was even a thought. But then God saw Adam in the garden alone and said that he should not be alone. So he created Eve, a helpmeet, not a superior being, but a complement. This is the foundational model which isn't rooted in hierarchy and it isn't rooted in control, but it is rooted in functionality. And this function still echoes today. So whether we like it as not as women, and I am a woman, we live in the real world, and both historically and today, the real world continues to reward qualities that men, by nature and conditioning, are more likely to possess and sustain without penalty. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. We will now pause for an intermission of 2 minutes. Okay, so we'll now hear the first rebuttal against the motion from the warrior. You have 4 minutes. The floor is now yours.
Good evening, Madam Speaker, honorable members of this House, esteemed judges, honorable opponents. We, the Amazonians, are here to refute the myth so vile and pervasive that has lingered and pervaded every inch of society and our collective consciousness for far too long. The honorable member for Titans just spoke about being a helper, Eve being a helper to Adam, and quoted biblical scripture. The claim that men make better leaders is just outdated on their side. It's a fallacy, Madam Speaker, that ignores decades of research, history, and the evolving dynamics of modern society. Leadership isn't about chromosomes, Madam Speaker, but rather about competence, empathy, adaptability, and vision. Yet this stereotype persists, often conflating leaderships with traits traditionally associated with masculinity, assertiveness, decisiveness, and dominance, while dismissing qualities like collaboration, emotional intelligence, and inclusivity, which are equally vital and often exemplified by women. According to research done by pewresearch.org, they cited that in intelligence, women outperform men 38% and men 14%. In compassion, 80% women, men 5%. Madam Speaker, studies from institutions like Harvard Business Review and Forbes' Most Powerful Women of 2024 consistently show that women leaders excel in fostering innovation, building resilient teams, and during organizational growth. Countries led by women such as Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor, and Claudia Sheinbaum, Mexico's first female president of the world's 12th largest economy. They have been lauded for their leadership qualities through crisis management and ethical governance. Closer to home, Madam Speaker, we have Barbadian Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who has shown resilience and fortitude in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, and more recently, the tariffs imposed by the United States, incidentally led by a male leader. In leadership styles, women practice transformational leadership, men gravitate towards transactional. While men may be perceived as more effective in traditionally male-dominated roles, such as in military and finance and politics, women excel in a broader range of organizational settings and leadership levels. Leaders who are narcissistic show pervasive patterns of grandiosity in fantasy and behavior, need for admiration and lack of empathy. Madam Speaker, this style is more attributable to men, according to Grijalva et al. 2015. Men score higher on narcissism across time and age groups, particularly on the facets of exploitative entitlement and leadership. According to Thomas Chamro Premuzic, professor of business psychology at University College London, in his book, Why Do So Many Incompetent Men Become Leaders and How to Fix It, he states, Madam Speaker, that men outnumber women in leadership because we mistake confidence for competence, even when their performance is higher. The only advantage that men have over women is the fact that manifestation of hubris, often masked as charisma, are commonly mistaken for leadership potential, and this occurs more frequently in men than in women. In gender biases, women are unfairly judged as too emotional, indecisive, or lacking authority, simply because their leadership style does not fit the traditional mold, Madam Speaker. We have incidences where female politicians are often criticized for being too soft or compassionate, while male counterparts are praised for their decisiveness and strength, while in their corporate world, women have to work harder to prove their competence. In some cases, where the previous speaker outlined,
Excuse,
where the
honorable
person
member.
was, sorry?
The warrior. Are you
Yes,
hearing me?
Madam Speaker. Yes, I'm hearing.
Yes, so your time is now up. Thank you,
Thank you, Madam
honorable
Speaker.
member. Yes, thank you. We will now pause for an intermission of 2 minutes.
Honorable Madam Speaker, may I ask your opposition a question?
Opposition, would you all accept this question?
Sure, we'll entertain it, Madam Speaker.
Okay, you can go ahead.
To the opposition, the Huntress just stated that men are assertive and we lack compassion and empathy. I am assuming that is correct.
Madam
Honorable
Speaker, if I
Member,
may.
can you please repeat?
The Huntress just stated that men are assertive and lack compassion and empathy. Is that correct? As well as some men are incompetent at their leadership position.
Yes.
Okay. To the opposition, once more, I ask again, what about the case of Sheikh Hazana's resignation in August 2024? Her resignation was due to mass protests from citizens and students due to her failure of the so-called lack of empathy, as well as her taking up an authoritarian leadership style to outright exclude students exclude students from their work from working. Her downfall was created because she could not satisfy or she refused to satisfy or entertain students as well as the protesting mass. Is that not authoritative, saying that only her opinion matters? Where is the empathy considering the student cries for help?
Madam Speaker, if I may address Kid Flash.
Yes, you may.
Kid Flash, can you please repeat person in history you are speaking about?
Sheikh Hazana.
1 second, honorable members. Your introduction, your question to the opposition, we would like you to narrow it down so that we would understand a bit better.
Understood.
Also,
The
no
Prime
more,
Minister.
okay, we are running on time.
Understood. The Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hazana, was accused of being authoritarian. Authoritarian means that she would lack empathy for her citizens, which was the argument for the Huntress, as well as she completely ignored her party, which showed a lack of competence. How will you respond?
Madam Speaker, if I may answer this question.
Yes, you may.
So citing that case, these are isolated cases that you are bringing up and should not tarnish all women. Everyone has the capability, men and women, to display these traits. And they may have been some overarching reason why this happened. So we need to get to the root of that before we criticize or call the other party authoritarian as well.
Madam Speaker, may I respond quickly?
Yes.
Okay, so if that was the case and we are looking at the broad majority, how can you say that most men were put in the position because they were many but incompetent? Also, you said that men were assertive. Is that not a broad generalization?
May I respond, Madam Speaker?
Yes, and we only have 13 seconds, okay?
Again, I reiterate the fact that it is not a broad definition.
Madam Speaker, I have no further questions.
Okay, honorable members, thank you. Okay, so we will hear the second rebuttal for the motion from Kid Flash. You have 5 minutes. The floor is yours.
It's supposed to be Batman, but alright, we'll go to okay. So
Pardon?
no, I was saying it's supposed to be Batman doing the um
The second
second
rebuttal?
rebuttal. Yeah, 4.
Okay, no problem. I'll make notes.
Alright.
Kid Flash is doing the conclusion.
After start, right?
1 second. So I would like to also let you guys know that the second rebuttal, you need to include the concluding statement into the second rebuttal. Are you able to do that? I can give you a minute.
Yes, Madam Speaker, can you give us 1 minute, please?
Yes, yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, honorable member. Batman, are you ready?
Hold on just a second.
Okay.
Alright, so could it be that I just read my part and then the other person does the conclusion, like, same speed?
Yes, but just be reminded of the time, right?
Alright, no problem.
The 5 minutes, yeah. So you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. So to begin with, she said that we cannot target all women. However, she gave statistics based on the segmented population by saying that women scored higher in an emotional test, which contradicts her statement because this is based off of one segment of people instead of a general consensus. So I rely on discipline, strategy, and unwavering resolve. And today, I stand in defense of the motion. Let's put aside the emotional side and focus on facts and patterns that history and psychology have revealed for centuries. Leadership is not about who's liked, it's not about who makes people feel warm and fuzzy inside. It's about who gets things done when everything is on the line. As of January 2025, only 10% of Fortune 500 companies are led by women. Let that sink in. 9 out of 10 of the world's largest, most demanding companies are led by men. In the political arena, the numbers speak just as clearly. Only 16 out of 119 countries in the United Nations are currently led by women. Now ask yourself, are we really going to claim that 92% of the world just forgot about female talent? Or is it more reasonable to recognize that high stake leadership roles demand traits that men, more often than not, possess in greater measure? And here's another truth. When women do reach the top, studies show they are far more likely to face burnout, work-life imbalance, and emotional exhaustion. Harvard Business Review reports that women in executive positions often struggle to maintain longevity in roles where relentless pressure and sacrifice are constant. Why? Because society penalizes women more harshly for the same aggressive leadership styles that men are rewarded for. This isn't a matter of discrimination, it's a matter of compatibility. The world's most demanding leadership environments reward consistency, toughness, and strategic detachment. And those more often than not are traits men are conditioned biologically and socially to sustain. So let's be clear, that it's not an attack on women. I was strong with women. I trust them in battle. But when it comes to history, statistics, and performance, all point to as the most consistent high pressure leaders. The facts are undeniable. Men have led more, endured more, and delivered more under pressure. I am now be passing over to Kid Flash. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
In ending regards, the argument that men make better leaders than women, despite the points of the opposition, women cannot make hard decisions under high pressure, that or they cannot make decisions that will separate emotions that will hinder the decision. And in some cases, they will make decisions based on empathy and not on logic. I would like to thank the opposition for the wonderful insights they have.
Okay, honorable members of the House, this brings us this brings our debates to an end. I commend both the government and opposition teams for the insightful arguments and respectful conduct. Okay, so I would now invite the judges to present their assessments. We have to run through our assessments, so just bear with us a bit. Thank you.